Andrew Urquhart with you on the program today, and potentially some good news. An announcement by the government, in fact by the Minister of Social Development, that around 17,000 people have been getting off Jobseeker, and the link has been made that this may be as a direct result of the benefit sanctions that the government has recently introduced. Joining me on the program is Dr. Bonnie Robinson. She is a part of the team at the Social Policy and Parliamentary Unit of the Salvation Army. Bonnie, kia ora, good morning. Thanks for your time.
Morena.
I mean, it's good news that 17,000 people are off Jobseeker, but all is not as it seems, not necessarily a causal link between the government policy and this result, and it's not the full picture, really.
That's right. I mean, first of all, it is great if more people have managed to find employment. 17,000 people roughly have managed to find employment. That's good news for them, particularly if it's employment that is secure and pays them enough to live on. So
Yep.
we do want to celebrate that. But I think the causal link that was made, that because there'd been a new sanctions regime put in, that was why we've got this number of people coming off the Jobseeker benefit. I think that's a little bit hard to make because we've also got 23,000 more people actually came on the Jobseeker benefit.
Okay.
So first of all, it's not the total picture, but
Yep.
also you can't necessarily make that causal link that it was, oh, I might be sanctioned, so I'll go and find a job.
Yeah.
That might be true in a very small number of cases, but it won't be true for the majority. Because if it was, then if the only reason those people weren't getting jobs is because they hadn't been bothered to do it,
Yeah.
then why would we have more people coming on?
Yeah.
Like if the sanctions were a deterrent to being on the Jobseeker benefit when you had another option, then you wouldn't have people necessarily joining. So a lot of it's got to do with, more the economy and the economy where someone lives and their particular community and whether jobs are available.
Yeah.
In a few cases, the sanctions might encourage people, but I think that to say that sanctions have been the cause of that, I think you can't really make that link that strongly.
And honestly, if we're just counting the people that are going out the exit rather than the people that are coming in the entrance, so 17,000 less, but 23,000 more, that is a net gain. There are more people on the Jobseeker benefit since this policy was enacted than there were previously. It's pretty challenging to spin that as a win.
Exactly. I mean, it's a win for those individual people who have got jobs, if they're good jobs that pay them enough to live on. But overall, globally, if we say that it's not good for us to have people on benefits because it's not a great lifestyle on a benefit, you actually are just surviving, then we're not substantially better off. At best, we're treading water, or you could say we're actually slightly worse off. And in fact, what we're seeing at the moment is that the numbers of people on main benefits is the highest it's been in decades. Both the number and the proportion of the working age population, probably since the GFC. So, the overall picture is not one which goes, all we needed to do was make people more responsible and they'd all go out and get jobs. Actually, people can't get employment. People have been made redundant, been losing their jobs, and we've got more people needing support than we've had for a long, long time.
I'm not sure there's enough of a time lag, honestly, if we're talking cause and effect. Since the policies were introduced, I'm not sure there's been enough time for them to have an effect on actual Jobseeker benefit numbers. But I wanted to talk to you about, I suppose, what the research shows. We're not the first country to do that. This isn't the first time we've had policies like this as a nation. In terms of the research, are these effective strategies? Do we have examples of where, oh gosh, we've got tough on beneficiaries and that's helped beneficiaries?
The research is just incredibly mixed. So the Welfare Expert Advisory Group, who did a real deep dive into the welfare system a couple of years ago, they had a look at all the OECD research. And it's basically a very mixed bag, and it's also very hard to compare one country with another because we all have different systems. But really what it says is that overall, it might help a little bit with some people, but it's not the big panacea, because the reasons people are unemployed or on another type of benefit are individual, complex. Some of the things are to do with them as individuals, but many of them are to do with things beyond their control, like the economy. And so sanctions on their own really make a small difference, if at best. And there's also a lot of evidence that sometimes they can be counterproductive. And indeed, there is a bit of evidence that if you have really harsh penalties, it can be quite counterproductive. And what sometimes happens in quite harsh sanctions environments is, yes, people go off the benefit or don't come on because they can't cope with the sanctioning system, but they actually end up worse off. They're either disengaged from the welfare system completely and effectively have no source of income, or they have to go into jobs that actually leave them worse off financially because they're insecure, very low paid, that kind of thing. So at best, the research would say, having some obligations, which is appropriate, and some responsibilities that are followed up can be a little bit of a help, but it's not the panacea, and it's not the, you do this, people get into work. It's a lot more complicated than that.
As you said, good news for those 17,000 people who have come off a Jobseeker, and all power to them. Not necessarily something the government should take the credit for, but all the best for them. And, of course, all the best for those people that are still struggling to look for work, sanctions or no sanctions. Bonnie, thank you so much for the work that you do. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks very much for joining us in the Rhema studio. Thanks very much for watching the interview. It's kind of nice to have an audience, actually. And if you did like what you watched, then do give us a like, do give us the thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more interviews like that one, or perhaps even better, subscribe, and those interviews will come straight to you. Don't forget to turn on your notifications, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.